Welcome to Newsbeacon, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. In a stunning and unprecedented move, the Indian government has taken the extraordinary step of publicly releasing what it claims is irrefutable evidence of foreign interference at the highest levels. This is not just another diplomatic spat. India is directly implicating U.S. federal agents in a covert plot designed to destabilize its government and undermine its sovereignty. The allegations are explosive, suggesting that American operatives have been working behind the scenes to manipulate political outcomes within India, a nation of over 1 billion people and a key player on the world stage. The dossier released by Indian authorities is said to contain a trove of sensitive materials, intercepted communications, detailed financial records tracing suspicious transactions, and even testimony from whistleblowers who claim to have witnessed the operation firsthand. All of this evidence, according to Indian officials, points to direct U.S. involvement in funding and supporting extremist factions within India, with the apparent goal of sowing chaos and division. By choosing to go public, India has escalated what might have remained a quiet, back-channel dispute into a global spectacle. The world's attention is now fixed on this diplomatic crisis, as India signals a deep rupture in trust with one of its most important international partners. The timing of this revelation is critical. The United States is still reeling from the shocking assassination of conservative figure Charlie Kirk, an event that has thrown its political system into turmoil and left the nation deeply divided and vulnerable. India's leaders appear to believe that exposing U.S. interference at this moment of American weakness will maximize their leverage on the world stage, even if it means risking severe diplomatic fallout and a possible breakdown in relations. This bold move marks a dramatic departure from India's traditionally cautious and measured foreign policy. It suggests that Indian policymakers are fundamentally reassessing their approach to global strategy, perhaps signaling a new era of assertiveness and self-reliance. With this public accusation, India is making it clear to the world that it will no longer tolerate what it perceives as American interference in its internal affairs. The message is unmistakable. India is ready to defend its sovereignty no matter the cost. As the world watches, the question now is how the United States will respond to these grave allegations, and whether this confrontation marks the beginning of a new, more contentious era in global politics, with ripple effects that could reshape alliances and power dynamics for years to come. Economist Jeffrey Sachs warned India months ago, "Do not count on the United States." Speaking in New Delhi, Sachs argued that America's political system is too volatile, especially under Trump, to be a reliable partner. He dismissed the idea that India could benefit from Trump's anti-China stance, insisting Trump's only priority is America first. Sachs cautioned that adopting U.S. rhetoric or aligning too closely with Washington would leave India vulnerable and isolated. His core message: India must pursue strategic autonomy, not dependency. Sachs saw India echoing Trump's language as a dangerous error, one that misreads U.S. intentions and risks being manipulated. He urged India to look to its own strengths and neighborhood, not to the shifting promises of a declining superpower. Today, his warnings seem more relevant than ever. Sachs's skepticism is rooted in America's deep political instability, a condition that has only intensified in recent years. The divisions within the country are not just political but social and cultural, creating a sense of uncertainty that permeates every level of government and society. He and other scholars see the U.S. sliding toward authoritarianism, with Trump's rise as the clearest symptom. The polarization of American politics, visible in heated protests and rallies, has eroded the foundations of democratic debate and compromise. Trump's efforts to control federal agencies and his disregard for legal norms signal a breakdown of democratic order. The checks and balances that once defined American governance are now under strain as institutions struggle to maintain their independence. This chaos makes U.S. foreign policy unpredictable, subject to the whims of one leader, not stable institutions. Allies and adversaries alike are left guessing about America's next move, undermining trust in its commitments. America's obsession with China, Sachs argues, is a projection of its own anxieties and decline. Instead of addressing internal challenges, the U.S. has turned outward, casting China as a rival to distract from its own instability. The result? Erratic policies that unsettle both allies and adversaries. Diplomatic relationships are strained, and long-standing partnerships are tested as America's actions become harder to predict. Sachs's message to India and the world is clear: the U.S. is no longer a stable anchor, but a source of global instability. The world must now adapt to a reality where American leadership can no longer be taken for granted. Any nation relying on American stability is setting itself up for disappointment. The unpredictability of U.S. politics means that alliances and agreements may shift overnight, leaving partners exposed. India's recent actions suggest its leaders have reached the same conclusion, seeking new partnerships and strategies to navigate an uncertain global landscape. While Sachs warns India about the U.S., he urges a different approach with China. He advocates for pragmatic, friendly relations, arguing that hostility toward China is self-defeating for both nations. With India and China comprising 40% of the world's population, cooperation is essential for regional and global stability. Sachs sees China as a vital economic partner, not a permanent adversary, and warns against falling into Washington's narrative of rivalry. He criticizes Indian officials for parroting anti-China rhetoric, which he says only serves U.S. interests. Recent diplomatic moves suggest India may be warming to this advice, seeking a more balanced approach. The question remains, can India and China overcome mistrust to reshape the global balance of power? The stakes for Asia and the world are enormous. Trump's America First doctrine has upended decades of U.S. foreign policy, with disastrous consequences. Sachs calls Trump's tariffs economically illiterate, hurting not just rivals like China, but allies like India. These policies have damaged global trust, reignited inflation, and undermined years of progress in U.S.-India relations. Even close allies like South Korea and Australia have faced blanket tariffs, signaling that under Trump, no partnership is sacred. The result: nations are questioning U.S. reliability and seeking new alliances. Countries like Japan and Australia are moving toward greater independence, while others look to China for economic leadership. Trump's attempt to reassert U.S. dominance has instead accelerated the shift to a multipolar world. America's influence is waning, and its leadership is no longer taken for granted. The global order is realigning, fast. Sachs has sharply criticized India's hesitation on key BRICS initiatives, especially the push for an alternative payment system. Such a system would reduce global dependence on the U.S. dollar and shield nations from American financial coercion. Recent U.S. actions, like freezing foreign reserves of rivals, have underscored the urgency of de-dollarization. China and Russia are moving quickly, but India's caution leaves it exposed to the same financial pressures. Sachs sees this as a missed opportunity for India to lead within BRICS and champion a more balanced global financial order. A BRICS payment system would offer real alternatives to SWIFT and U.S. sanctions, empowering developing nations. Sachs's message: India must act boldly, not timidly, if it wants true sovereignty. The time for half measures is over. The world is waiting for India to step up. Trump's aggressive transactional policies are dramatically reshaping the landscape of global alliances, sending shockwaves through the international community. His administration's focus on short-term gains and unilateral decisions has left many traditional partners questioning the reliability of American commitments. The old certainties that once defined global politics are rapidly fading. Nations that previously relied on the United States for leadership and security are now hedging their bets, seeking greater independence from U.S. dictates and forging new partnerships to protect their interests. Across both Asia and Europe, allies are actively pursuing strategic autonomy. No longer content to simply follow Washington's lead, they are investing in their own defense capabilities and building regional coalitions, signaling a profound shift in the global balance of power. Economist Jeffrey Sachs notes that Trump's provocations have forced countries like China to adopt a more assertive and confident stance on the world stage. This has fueled a dangerous cycle of escalation, as each side seeks to outmaneuver the other in a contest for influence. The U.S. retreat from its traditional role as global leader has created a vacuum, opening the door for China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative and the rise of a new Beijing consensus. China is now investing heavily in infrastructure and diplomacy across Asia, Africa, and beyond, reshaping the global economic order. Meanwhile, India, with its vast population and growing economic power, is refusing to be a pawn in America's power games. Instead, It is asserting its own interests and emerging as a key player in the new multipolar world. By releasing evidence against U.S. agents, India is sending a clear message to the world. It is charting its own independent course, unafraid to challenge even the most powerful nations when its sovereignty is at stake. The global order is in a state of flux, with old alliances breaking down and new ones emerging. In this period of uncertainty, India finds itself at the very center of this historic realignment, shaping the future of international relations. Around the globe, people and governments alike are watching closely as new alliances take shape, knowing that the choices made today will define the world for generations to come. The assassination of Charlie Kirk has exposed the violent fissures tearing through American society. This politically motivated killing is not an isolated event, but a symptom of the instability Sachs has long warned about. The aftermath has deepened polarization, fueling conspiracy theories and pushing the nation closer to civil conflict. America's internal chaos now undermines its ability to project stable power abroad. Foreign governments, including India's, see a partner consumed by its own battles, unpredictable and risky. The Kirk assassination validates fears that U.S. instability runs deep, crippling its global leadership. This chaos likely emboldened India to act, sensing that America is too divided to retaliate effectively. The world sees a superpower unraveling from within. In this climate, old alliances are breaking down. India's public challenge to the U.S. is a watershed moment, a bold bet that American dominance is fading. By exposing U.S. interference, India asserts its autonomy and signals a pivot toward a multipolar world. This move echoes Sachs's advice: build ties with China, lead BRICS, and avoid America's anti-China crusade. But the risks are real. America remains a formidable power, and retaliation could be severe. India may have overplayed its hand, or it may be seizing a historic opportunity. The outcome will define not just India's future, but the shape of global politics for decades. The world watches as India rolls the dice, betting on a new era. The stakes could not be higher.